And seeing all these panels of the caveman, it raises another important question.
Why are they white? What? They're ancient cavemen living in Africa. Why are they white? Kaiba, stop activating the race card and listen. It's just Marvel.
Anyway, apparently Wolverine had lots of children in the caveman society.
Those kids are so cute! Are they all Wolverine's children?
That's right.
I don't see any human women!
Are you sure? Because the Neanderthals and the other humans are drawn exactly the same way with this half-assed artwork, so it's possible that they're there.
Who are the mothers?
You're looking at them.
Neanderthals? Impossible!
Honestly, I have no idea about the relationship between Neanderthals and other humans living at the time, so I don't know how accurate this is. I did read briefly that there's genetic evidence that Neanderthals did interbreed with other humans at the time, but I'm not the guy to talk to, and chances are this comic screwed stuff up anyway. No, let's focus on the other idiocy that Mickey has for us.
Humans and Neanderthals are different species, right?
Obviously. Actually, Neanderthals are classified either as a subspecies of Homo sapiens or in some cases a separate species in the same genus. It's not like we're talking about the difference between a fish and a cow here.
Well, two different species cannot mate and have fertile offspring.
Obviously they can.
No, they can't. That's a scientific fact.
I know the theory, Nikki, but these folks are proving the scientists wrong. Would you stop trying to lecture to us about science as if you have any idea what the hell you're talking about? The problem with scientists is that they're just not very scientific. No living scientist has ever witnessed evolution. They have glimpsed at a few hundred years in time and guessed that their findings apply to the entire history of life on Earth. Yeah, we only have a glimpse at a few hundred years of our history. All those dinosaur bones or the remains that show how a few species have managed to remain unaltered for millions of years or were previously thought extinct, all are just a measly few centuries. I would set this comic on fire right now if I wasn't afraid that I would breathe in the fumes and grow dumber as a result. We'll be right back, you Slifer slackers. And now we're back. I love this outfit. Jack spits out some more idiocy about not letting two different species mate because otherwise there wouldn't be orderly evolution. Wait, I'm confused. Is this thing in favor of evolution or not? When they speculate about how the Neanderthals died out, Jack starts glowing and floating above them for no reason. Worry about how you cling to the Darwinian myth regardless of how little sense it makes. What part of it doesn't make sense? Make up your mind about what the hell you're trying to preach here! Think about the genetic failsafes that prevent two different species from having fertile children. Genetic failsafes? You mean the fact that their biology is incompatible? That's not a failsafe, it's just common friggin' sense! Oh man, my screwdriver is incompatible with my headache pills! Clearly, God programmed them so they would not be able to breed together and have Phillips head gel caps! It took God 200 million years to figure out the DNA code for that sequence. It would fill 3 telephone books. You think that happened by a random mutation followed by a struggle for survival? What are you, a moron? Takes one to know one. He tells everyone to get back to the time machine and gets pissed off at them because they're not getting it. Perhaps it's because the people you chose to impart this to are all morons. And then suddenly, when Mickey talks back to him, he's all smiles and hey, it's all good. Mood swing much there, Jack? And he decides to tell them what the real point of all this is. You ready? Because this is a treat. You and Al and Lucy are all rich and famous in your time. And in your time, the world is heading toward an all-out war. If the three of you can understand the roots of war, maybe you can work to prevent World War III. Yep, the entire point of all of this is that Al, Lucy, and Mickey are going to stop World War III. I repeat, Al, Lucy, and Mickey are going to stop World War III. Unless it turns out that they are the greatest rock band in the history of the world and it unites Earth in peace and harmony, it's clear that with these Nimrods at the wheel, we can pretty much kiss our asses goodbye. And now it really gets good. I like to think that the artist just got bored drawing this because the next panel is just text. Like with issue 3 when it was the text over the pictures, only now it's just a big sky blue box with dialogue. Or maybe it's because this whole thing is really damn wordy and there's no way they could fit all this crap into the pages. After millions of years of genetic diversification, the perfectly matched male and female Neanderthal partners got together and produced the first human son, Wolverine. No, some dickheads picked up an otter from the Jurassic period and it evolved into Wolverine. You can't contradict things you wrote into your own damn story! Jack brings up the classic which came first, the chicken or the egg question, and Mickey says that the answer is that the mother chicken was a whole different species.
So humans were raised by animals. Like Tarzan isn't a fantasy, it's a memory.
I need a moment of silence so I can get into a meditative state where I block out any and all irritating white noise. I call it my happy place.
Oh, and there are 2 panels like this. They couldn't contain all this idiocy in one. Next, they state that Wolverine's DNA was disseminated throughout humanity, and that evolutionary enhancement can only come if we diversify from Wolverine's original human genes. And the best way to do that is by mixing and matching millions of gene patterns from the species. Wait a second, That's the premise of the New Guardians! Yeah, passing on superior genetic traits through lots of diversification, aka having lots of sex and breeding. Guess what? It was asinine there, and it's asinine here! Gah! They push ahead another 50,000 years and step out of the time machine into the village of the cavemen, who now live in huts for some reason.
This is amazing.
A real prehistoric village! You saw it already 5 friggin' minutes ago! They meet up with a caveman who I thought was Wolverine since they're drawn exactly the same, but it's actually a guy named Throck who's having problems with his kids. One is helpful and contributing, and the other is an asshole. Jack says that it sucks that parents have to fight with their kids, but they need that in order to force the kids to go off on their own and diversify the gene pool. Or they fight with them as teenagers, and then they get older and better and they mature. This is yet again Bill Gemma speaking in absolutes as if this is the only set of options available.
That's not what we learned in anthropology.
Anthropologists are people who never got jobs. And any of my viewers who happen to be anthropologists, know any anthropologists, or study it as a hobby, you may feel free to flip the bird at the screen right now. Don't worry, I know who it's meant for. The key is testosterone. You need all that testosterone to keep them moving, to keep mixing up the gene pool.
So testosterone is God's vector.
Well, that makes God as my co-pilot take on a whole new meaning. So as they get ready to see a village meeting, Al decides to say something stupid. I'll give you a moment to recover from your surprise at this. He says that the idea of fathers arguing with their sons is the true meaning of Spider-Man. That it isn't, with great power comes great responsibility, it's that Peter Parker never got a chance to make up with Uncle Ben after the argument he had with him. And you've gotta love how Bill Jemas didn't know a damn thing about the company he was vice president of, since that's a revisionist version of the story, particularly for the movie, since in the original comic, Peter's relationship with Uncle Ben was cartoonishly perfect! Oh, and it turns out Wolverine is immortal, since he's still a part of the tribe 50,000 years later. Oh, what fresh hell is this? Is he immortal?
I get it. He is immortal, but not because of the healing factor. That's just a metaphor. He is immortal because he was the first human, and his basic genetic code lives on in all of us.
There is logic in what he says.
So here's the question we've been tiptoeing around this entire time. Does Bill Jemas not know the difference between fantasy and reality? Because he keeps proselytizing in this book about how Wolverine is responsible for all of us. Does he not know what fiction is? Does he think that all the Marvel superheroes are real? I mean, even for a metaphor, he just stated that the dude is immortal because he was the first one. Does he think that the Wolverine or whatever is still walking around today? I mean, that only makes sense if you go by Babylon 5's logic for the first ones. And again, that's fiction! You know, not real, make-believe. Oh, and let's add some more gravy on the Bill Jemas doesn't know anything about the company he was running. They continue to talk about Wolverine's beginnings here. All that X-Men stuff came later. That's not about this Wolverine. This is the first appearance of Wolverine, when he was roaming the wilderness. Hey, Billy Boy, that comic name you were parodying, Wolverine Origins, that was a comic that was detailing the actual backstory of Wolverine, including his childhood. Spoiler warning, he wasn't a friggin' caveman evolved from an otter!